Hey, real estate investors, fund managers, syndicators, and capital raisers. If you're struggling with falling short on your capital raises for your real estate deals, if you're also struggling with finding investors beyond your network of friends and family, if you are spending thousands and thousands of dollars and weeks on end to travel to conferences to try to find investors, only to find that the people at those conferences are also trying to raise capital from you, so you're not getting any traction. And if you're really struggling with predicting how much capital you can raise from a deal, because investors say they're going to wire to your deal and then they back out, and you are completely exhausted, hey, I've got you. Hit the subscribe and follow button, and I promise I will deliver free content to you every single week that's going to help you level up, make this capital raising game much better and more efficient. And we're going to do that week in and week out for you. Welcome everyone to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you today because our podcast is new and we are growing. I just want to briefly let you know who I am. I'm Amy Silvis. I'm the founder and CEO of Silvis Capital. I'm a real estate syndicator for apartments and flex industrial space. I love capital raising. I love helping people with capital raising. And that's why I've got my dear friend and special guest, Janice, today. Welcome, Brent.
Hey, Amy, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm just delighted to have you. I want folks to know a bit more about who you are, what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So, as Amy said, my name's Janice Greenly. I am a multifamily investor, trying to dabble in storage a little bit as well, but haven't been successful at that just yet. But that's coming. I come from a IT recruiting or headhunting background. So, spent over 20 years doing that. And then COVID came and we decided that we needed a plan B. We wanted something different. So we started a small business in the utility space, and that kind of one thing led to another. And fast forward a couple of years, we realized, oh my gosh, we can get into apartment investing and real estate investing without having $10 million of our own. And so we learned about syndication and got some coaching and great mentoring. And now here we are. Earlier this year, we purchased our first property and we're super excited. Of course, we're not alone. We have a great team of folks that we're partnering with. And now we're up and running and making that property successful and looking for our next deal. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. You and I met through one of those, online networking events that we go to. And I always get so excited when we get to talk because I just think your perspective, your personality, just how you think about this space is so infectious and positive. So when I was thinking of guests to have on the podcast, you were top of the list because I just think more people, A, need to know who you are and know what you're all about. And B, I think, we work really well together in trying to help the folks that are listening to the episode.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I always love chatting with you. It's great conversation. I definitely think there's chemistry there, which is always nice.
Right?
So, yeah. And I am passionate about sharing this with other people because I look back at my life 5 years ago or 10 years ago and think, oh my gosh, if somebody would have told me, think how much farther, but I didn't even know it was an option.
Right.
And so now I just want to shout from the rooftops and say, oh my gosh, you don't have to rely on your 401k or the stock market or whatever is happening out there. You can diversify and look at so many different options. Just listen.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm so glad you're getting your voice out there, though, right? Because that's where it all starts. We learn, someone else helped us understand about this
Yep,
space, and then it's our turn to start spreading the word to our network, which I think
that's right.
dovetails perfectly into tell us a bit more about what your capital raising journey has been like. I know you mentioned you bought your first property. What does that look like? How has your journey been in this space so folks can understand a little bit more about you in that respect?
Sure. Yeah, happy to share that. So I'll tell you, we met a wonderful woman. This is a couple of years ago now, who really took us under her wings. And in the middle of the year last year, she had a property that she was kind of at the end of a raise on. And she approached us and said, hey, I know you haven't done a capital raise before, but if you want to take a stab at this, it's good practice, right? And see if you can raise some money, get into a deal. And of course, we failed miserably. I mean, it was terrible. Worst thing that could happen. But we learned a lot. You know what I mean? So it was really good for us. But at the time, it just felt defeating because we didn't know what we were doing. We had zero systems in place. All we were doing was calling and saying, hey, guess what? Don't you want to invest in a property? And so we did everything wrong. Then we again said, all right, so where are we missing? Where don't we have systems? Where are we messing up on our phone calls? What are we doing? And we realized that everything that we were doing was kind of backwards. We really needed to start with, let's share with people what we're doing so that they can start getting some education, following us, learning a little bit more about it so that there's a comfort level and maybe even a little bit of what I'll call familiarity with the idea to begin with. And then we can chat with them about, all right, would you want to know about this if something came along? And then when we have a deal, we can call you. So it was much more methodical. So we kind of put the brakes on everything and said, all right, let's figure this out. And we created a website. I started all my online stuff on LinkedIn. I started kind of posting out there. I started making phone calls to just people in my network. And it wasn't to ask for money. It was just to give an awareness of here's what we're doing. If we have something, do you want to know about it? Kind of conversations. And really just sharing with the world, or my world, I'll say, our sphere of influence, there are other options and we are going to become an expert in it. So that way, if you want to invest, you can trust us when that time comes. And here's all the information that we're going to share with you and the education and everything else. And that worked. So then now fast forward, we closed on our first deal this year, but at the beginning of the year, we were in an actual raise for the duration, and those systems worked because all of that prep work that we had done in advance allowed us to get on the phone and call all the people that said, yes, I would like to hear about it when you get something. And that's really how we did 95% of our raise was like that. Some were accredited, some were not, but it didn't matter because we had long relationships with all of them in advance anyway. And so now we're at that point where, okay, we've got that. We're creating a really good track record and we're getting outside of our network, our kind of first and second level connections, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was a long story, but
oh, it's so great.
it is.
No, Janice, so what this highlights about you, though, and then I've seen this and I'm excited for our audience to take away from this. Well, there's a whole bunch of things I want them to take away, but the first is your willingness to jump in and give it a shot, but then also your willingness to course correct. And it's not like you sat there, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but from what I know about you, you weren't boohoo about it. You weren't catastrophizing. You said, all right, this is what I did. This is the result that I got. I want a different result. How do I need to pivot? I got goosebumps a little bit talking about it because I just think that's so special about you because most people don't have that approach, but you're very systematic and look at the results that you got. You understood kind of that gap of systems and processes, flipping things, turning them upside down of, hey, we're not going to just pitch people. We're going to educate them first and build that relationship. And I think that that's so powerful. So I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, Janice. I want to tease a few other threads on what you said, but hopefully that resonates with the audience because I think you really set a great example for people in that respect.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And hopefully somebody else that's listening maybe they can see it where their capital raise is stuck and get some ideas and go, oh gosh, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. Well, and your story is so common, Janice, because the truth is a lot of folks go through a fantastic education program, a mentorship program, and they're taught how to underwrite, which is incredible, but they're not necessarily taught how to capital raise. And maybe even they're told, hey, guess what? You find a good deal, there's going to be the money there. And that's the benefit of being in a community of experienced syndicators and fund managers, because we can all tell you what's around the corner. And what's around the corner is you've got to treat your capital raising like a business, right? It is not just, I mean, not only is it illegal to join a capital raise and for someone to say, hey, raise a little bit, and guess what? We're going to go ahead and give you some general partnership share, and we're going to give you, compensation. Some people don't even know it's not legal. But then we're so excited, rightfully so, with what we've discovered, what we now understand. And we think, or I did this for sure, of, oh my gosh, I need to tell everybody. And of course, they're going to want to invest alongside me because I just figured this thing out. And we don't realize, well, wait a minute, the time that it took for us to get where we are, we've got to give some of that time to our potential investors too. There's an education component. So I love that you brought that up.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us forget that our friends and our family and our network see us as whatever it is, whatever career it is that we had, right?
Mm.
They know we're an expert in
Yes.
field ABC, whatever,
Yep.
right? We just because we've decided to invest in real estate does not make us an expert in real estate. We might know more now than we did a year ago, but we're still not an expert. And they know that. I mean,
Yes.
they're not stupid. They hold on a minute, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
You either you haven't bought anything or maybe I don't know the ins and outs of what you bought or how
No.
it's going. And so we're looking at it from a different perspective. And we have to give them a little bit of grace around that for them to come to terms with the fact that we're now shifting and we have to have that time to become that expert in their eyes.
Yes. Perfectly said. And I think, Janice, what you articulate, I want to go back to this 4-step phase system that we talk about here on the podcast, because I think it really helps folks orient themselves as to where they are. So we talk about the fear zone, that's phase 1, where folks haven't had much success capital raising. Maybe they feel a little bit like an imposter. Their deal flow isn't there. They don't have the systems in place. Maybe folks are really excited, but their energy is kind of unfocused and all over the place. Maybe that was you on your first raise, but you kept going. And so you're then in the pipeline purgatory phase 2 of you've got, a raise under your belt. You've got a CRM, like you said, you realized you needed to have these systems and processes. You have some deal flow, and you've also been posting on social media, right?
Yes. Yes, I have been all over social media. I feel like it's a great tool to use for our network to really understand what we're doing. It's a great place to get education out there, and it's a great place to get my voice heard to a larger audience.
Yep. And
Yeah.
and this is the process that folks go through. They do the friends and family or the immediate network. And then it's, well, wait a minute, it's time to go to the next level. I need to introduce strangers
Yes.
into this equation. And I think, I'd love to sit here in this space with you because, I want to answer some questions for you. I want to, help you on your journey and therefore also help, the folks that are listening. So as you're kind of in this next phase, as you're intentionally and successfully leveling up your capital raising game, what are some of the questions that have been on your mind that you're trying to crack the code on?
Sure. So I'm going to start, since we talked about social media, I'm going to start
Yeah.
with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been very consistent for maybe 8 or 9 months, maybe
Mhm.
pushing a year now. And it's great because, LinkedIn, just like Facebook, you've got the stalkers, the people that are watching. And that's all fine, but I need to do outreach to people on LinkedIn,
Mm.
people I don't know,
Yeah.
which is fine. I'm not afraid to do that. But what
Yeah.
I haven't taken the time maybe, or maybe it is fear, all right, what does that messaging need to look like so that I can get either a yes, no, or a let me check it out kind of response?
Yeah. I love this question so much. This is going to help you, audience. This is going to help you all too. So if I was answering, so let me back up. About 70% of all capital I've ever raised for my deals has been strangers on LinkedIn. So just to give you all some context of, what this looks like. So this isn't, something I'm speaking out of turn on. So this is why I teach my students in my course. And it might make some of you all uncomfortable. I don't think outreach on LinkedIn works. In fact, I haven't gotten much traction at all. on LinkedIn through cold outreach. And here's why. Everyone and their mom is doing cold outreach on LinkedIn, right? You know it. If you're
No,
on
I
LinkedIn at
know.
all, you're getting pitched constantly and you're exhausted by it, right? It's
Yep.
so annoying. It's
Yes.
so annoying. I don't know you. I didn't say I needed your service. What is happening? How do you even break through the noise? So what I
Right.
teach my students, and it makes some people feel uneasy, but I promise you it works, is that we're not doing any cold outreach. So we'll back up and we'll talk about what does work, and I'll caveat what I just said a little bit. What
Okay.
does work is creating content on LinkedIn that makes people feel like you understand them. So we're not, and look, when I'm all self-taught on LinkedIn, I wish I had someone that could have held my hand through this, but this is trial and error. I'm a very analytical, this is how it works type of lady. So I first started off saying, here are the tools, here's the way to do it, here's how to analyze. That's really important. But what people want to understand is, so what does that mean for me? So the
Mm.
analogy that I love to give is, I'm a lady of a certain age. I'm 44. I remember when they were travel agencies, and the travel agencies, would they talk about the plane ride and the seats and all of that? Or would they talk about the destination, the beaches, the pina colada, the sunshine,
Right.
the sand on their toes? So all this is to say, well, all of us, myself included, are really excited to create content and talk about equity multiple or using your retirement account or a hedge against inflation and all of that. And there's a place for that. I think we need to create content. And what I've seen that works really well is helping people understand. Amazon just announced that they're laying off, what was it, 10,000 people today?
Yes.
I mean, the layoff announcements are insane. People are terrified. If you're my age or above, we all know sex or ageism. Well, sexism exists as well, but ageism in the workforce is real.
Yes.
I need another stream of income. What am I going to do? Or my kids are getting older. I'm making good money, but I'm working 80 hours a week and I'm going to blink. And in 4 years, my kids are off to college. I need to spend more time with them. How can I try to have money come in that I don't have to trade my time for? So you see
Right.
what I'm getting at. So I was told not to monologue, but I get excited. Let me just put a pin in that.
Go
So
for it.
we're going to create content and then we're going to hack the algorithm because we want to make sure that we can get our content in front of the right people. So that involves commenting on other people's content. That's our outreach. It's not cold DMing. It's finding our target avatar and commenting on their content or commenting on content that they consume. So if we've properly defined our target avatar, we know what they're paying attention to on LinkedIn. And then the final piece, in addition to creating the content, commenting, and commenting strategically and hacking the algorithm, is we do send connection requests to people that fit our target avatar, but we don't pitch them. We talk about our commonality. So, are they in the industry that you used to be in? And hey, so I say, hey, so and so, I see we both share insert commonality here.
Yep.
I'd love to follow your content here on LinkedIn. And that's it. I have no agenda. I'm not pitching them. It doesn't lift their guard up because I'll tell you what, the 2 weeks after you make a connection request with someone, LinkedIn prioritizes your content to them. So this is why we're always posting content on LinkedIn 5 days a week.
Right.
And we're making sure they feel heard because then they're starting to see your content. And instead of you pushing stuff out to them, they're going to start to understand how you're helping them solve a pain point, achieve a goal, and you're guiding them through that process. And will it happen overnight? No. But is it effective? I promise you it is. I promise you. Janice, I just fire hosed you, friend. Is that making sense?
No. Okay. So honestly, this gets me really excited. So
Okay.
I'm going to jump in and say,
Please.
okay, this is exactly what I've been doing.
Okay.
Honestly, I have been connecting with people, no pitching.
Great.
Literally just a quick message. We've got a lot of people in common, whatever the case may be, and connecting, hoping that they will just start to see my stuff and follow
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I have been posting, I would say I'm probably not every day 100%. So if I'm traveling, probably a little less, but most of the time it's 5 days a week.
Okay.
And then I am commenting, but maybe I need to step that up. So this kind of gives me a little kick in the pants to do more of that. And
Yeah.
maybe I have been trying to be very particular on who I comment on. And what I mean by that is, yes, there are lots of other investors and real estate professionals that I'm connected with. And I know that we support each other and I can do some of that. But I'm also trying to comment on posts that are from folks that have nothing to do with real estate because I'm looking for others that might see my comment. So it feels sometimes like I'm ignoring my real estate friends, and I'm not trying to, but I really am trying to be very targeted in where I make those comments every day.
Good. So a few things. The real estate echo chamber is real. It's okay if you hurt people's feelings. Stop commenting on other real estate people's stuff because it trains the algorithm in terms of the content, who is being served up your content.
Right.
You don't want it to go to other real estate people. And then, yeah, who are you getting in front of? So, yeah, I see that mistake. That's one of the biggest mistakes actually I see in our industry is that kind of just echo chamber of everyone commenting on each
Right.
other's stuff. Pick your target avatar. And I'm speaking to the audience. I know you know this, Janice, but pick your target avatar. What industry are they in? How old are they? And find them on LinkedIn and then engage in their content. And don't do it in a slimy way. We're not trying to trick people or covertly sell them.
No,
Be a
no.
person, right? Just be a person building relationships. And those out. So I would suggest people make 5 unique comments on other people's content a day. 5. So if you're not finding 5 people, and it can be the same people every day, that's fine. But get out there, train the algorithm, build those relationships.
Yeah.
And then I would send at least 5 new connection requests to people a day as well. 5
Okay.
times a week.
Okay.
So, and again, you get the option to have a little note when you send a connection request. Always
Yep.
send a note.
Yep.
Always say something friendly for your smiley face, saying, "Hey, I see we got this in common. Let's keep in touch with each other." Or, however you want to phrase.
Yep. Yep.
I think that'll be really, really effective. Thanks for the question.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it.
I appreciate the honest answer. I'm so glad that I wasn't missing that because I'll tell you, as a recruiter, I know how many outreaches people get. And it was like, gosh, this is going to be more garbage they don't want to see.
It's true. It's true. And this is not a $5 widget. This is $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 investment. And that's back to the know, like, trust, invest funnel, right? That we have. So we're not building trust, or we're not making people like us by saying, "Hey, you want to invest in the thingy thing?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know you, ma'am. What's happening?" So
Elite.
yeah,
Elite.
ignore. Yeah, truly. But
Yeah.
it's a bit, this system though, I'll be candid, is a bit of a trust fall. I don't know. Everyone probably remembers when we were in school and people stood behind you. You just kind of have to fall back and,
Yep.
trust that they'll catch you because we're different and we're setting ourselves apart, and we don't want to, no shade to used car salesmen, but that's not the energy we're trying to give out to potential investors. We're relying on kind of that go-giver, that Bob Berg go-giver mentality of giving,
Sure.
giving, 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 knowing that we will receive. But again, we do have to know how to hack the algorithm, create that content, and then strategically comment. So it doesn't happen overnight. We're not promising, 2 weeks you do this and boom, there's your $5 million raise, but it does work. Yeah,
Trust takes time.
it does.
Seriously.
As
Trust
it
takes
should.
time. So that's
As it
okay.
should.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. What else do you have on your
Absolutely.
mind? I'd love to help you with another question or two.
Okay, so I am going to start a webinar. I've been talking about it for a while and I've put it off just due to mostly time.
Yeah.
Okay, various factors. I'm thinking I want to do one a month, and I don't know if that's enough or not enough, but it is something I do feel like people need to see and be able to have conversation with me, or at least see me have live dialogue at a minimum.
Yeah.
They'll get to know my personality a little bit more, and I can get a lot more than from a post.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've had 2 different schools of thought on a webinar. One is every webinar should kind of cover the same stuff so that it's kind of that where you're really repeating. Someone can get on and know that it's, you're going to talk about the basics and you might tweak it because you never know who's going to be on. And then two, the other one is, no, every webinar should be totally different and you should cover a totally different subject about real estate. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, at some point I'm going to run out of information. And what really is important to share? And do you have any thoughts about one or the other?
Yeah. Oh, this is good. This is varsity level. I love this. I love this. So when we think of a funnel, and for those who don't know what a funnel is, essentially, it's the shape of a funnel. First, we have lead generation. And then once someone raises their hand and says, hey, Janice, I want to be a part of your network. I want you to tell me when your next opportunity is. Guess what? We still need to nurture these folks. So this nurturing that Janice is talking about is the middle of the funnel. This isn't the top of it could be used as the top of the funnel, but I'm going to suggest, Janice, that you use this as the middle. So once folks raise their hand and they say, Janice, this makes sense to me. I want to not have to trade my time for money, or I want to reduce my income risk by having another stream of income, or inflation's going to be insane. I feel it coming. I need to have some more hard assets in my portfolio. Whatever the case is, the truth is, once someone raises their hand and says, I want to be a part and hear of your next deal, we still need likely 8 or 9 more touches for them to get to know us. So how do we do that? Yes, LinkedIn is good, but another way to touch and to build that trust is a webinar. So I would suggest, because this is part of the nurturing sequence, that it's a different topic every time. And I hear you, it can be really intimidating. But here's the thing, it's okay if you repeat topics 6 months later or 7 or 8 months later, right? So the topics, if I understand your question, you want to know what are some good topics to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, talking about syndication 101 or fund 101 or whatever that looks like, I think could be an incredible topic. In fact, that could be a 2 or a 3-parter. And what I would do is I'd record that and I'd make that part of your investor education once people get in your funnel. So maybe they're sent investing 101 once they join your funnel. And guess what? That's another touch, right at one to many. Okay. So there's that. And then we always hear folks are looking for hey, Janice, I need more money to invest. I'd love to invest with you, but how do I get more money? So there's always the self-directed IRA or solo 401k topic. Actually, we talked to Daryl on a previous episode about this, and I love this so much. The infinite banking concept, if you like that can be something that really makes people think differently about how they can manage that. Right. And then I think there's other kind of side topics like asset protection, legacy planning. So we think about, what are people in this space really craving, even if it's not directly related to real estate? What are some other ways we can add value?
Right.
Yeah. So yes, asset protection, legacy planning. I had a great legacy planner guy speak at my last webinar. And then you can also dive into teaching your limited partners how to evaluate a deal, or the most common mistakes that you've seen, or even, how to conduct market research. So then you're adding value and you become the subject matter expert, because instead of them just kind of hoping and trusting that they know what to look for, you're actually giving them the steps of, that they can check off and feel more confident. Because guess what? Our investors are probably likely, once they get in this ecosystem, are probably evaluating other people's deals too. And while we're not in competition, it is helpful to be able to, help people see and look out for those pitfalls.
Right. No, those are great subjects. And I love teaching. I love sharing with people. So teaching is a really easy way for me to give to my investors or anybody else that wants to know.
Oh, I love it. Well, and the tip I gave to Daryl, but I'll reiterate here too, is some people, rightfully so, feel really intimidated about presenting to a whole bunch of people. And truth be told, I used to get quite literally sick to my stomach when I started doing it, because I was just so intimidated. Bring a subject matter expert on with you if you feel that way.
Right.
We are not, most of us, maybe not all of us, are not tax experts. We're not CPAs. So we shouldn't even be talking about tax stuff without the expert on the webinar with us. Bring in the self-directed IRA or solo 401k person. Bring in the legal team that talks about asset protection. And that's a great way, A, to add value, and B, protect yourself, but also C, just help ease that fear maybe a little bit of just doing everything on your own. You can have the expert and go back and forth with them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's great. I love that. I appreciate that. My mind is rolling with 1,000 ideas.
Good.
So we're good.
Oh,
We're doing the right year's worth.
And truly repeating, because we're all going to do a really good job of continuing lead generation and finding new investors. So repeating a topic, people often don't remember things the first time they're taught. So if in 9 months, Janice is doing another asset protection or another, here's how to do market research, no one's going to throw out their hands and go, what the heck? They're going to say, oh yeah, I would love a refresher on this. Where I am now versus 9 months ago, I'm at a whole different level. So Janice is continuing to make me feel empowered and feel really strong about my ability to make decisions in this space.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. Anytime you learn something new, when you relearn it and you're in a different headspace. So
Yes.
that does make a difference.
Yeah, you forget some things. We're all busy. Our investors aren't doing this full time. They're wrestling with kids and their career and aging parents and all that stuff, right? So yeah, repetition is not a bad thing.
All right. So this was one that I really wanted to ask you, and I kind of ask everybody that I run across.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everybody's approach is a little bit different. So I don't necessarily need you to answer it in a coachy way, but more, what do you do?
Yeah.
What did you do when you wanted to expand to larger investor pools? And what I mean by that is, and I don't want anybody listening to take this as disrespect, but our typical investor is what? 50,000, 100,000, maybe 150. Okay. But sometimes we want to maybe expand that to, all right, maybe we want to go after private equity. Maybe we want to go and talk to someone that might put in $500,000 or something like that. Have you pushed to get there, or are you doing well enough where you haven't had to? And kind of tell me about that if you're okay with that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a great question. And I think in our industry, fund managers and syndicators sometimes, I think, overly maybe idolize private equity or, these bigger check writers. And it makes sense. Who doesn't want a single check writer to take care of their whole raise? I mean, that sounds a lot less stressful. That sounds like a lot less work. And it feels kind of like, oh, I've graduated to that level, right? That's kind of the summit.
Sure.
Here's why I haven't done that. I'll be frank, for 2 reasons. One is I have seen people, and some of our mutual connections, Janice, rely on a single check writer that is bailed at the last minute. It is a nightmare. You've done all the third-party inspection reports. You paid the lender fees. Everything is, you have your team in place. You're about to close the deal and the investor leaves you at the altar. I am a wildly risk-averse person. I can't risk all of my work going that way. Does that mean that I will never do kind of a large single check writer? And by single check writer, I mean, $10 million, that type.
I know what starting at.
Yeah, like $1 million at a time. The other thing is those folks want control, rightfully so, right? They're not going to just be a $10 million, $20 million, $30 million check writer isn't just going to say, Janice and Amy, sure, you all take control. Talk to me in 5 years once you've run the deal before. They're not. That's another risk, in my opinion. Not that I don't trust them, but it is just, I think of these deals in terms of risk mitigation, identifying the risk. How do I mitigate it? That is another risk that is just not something I'm comfortable with. The other thing too is these books require a certain amount of experience, and it doesn't mean that we can't, have partnerships with people that have 20, 30, 40 years in the biz where we can attract that type of institutional type equity. But for me at this point, it just hasn't fit the way I'm interested in structuring my deals. So I guess that defaults to, I have focused on retail investors. Now, does that mean everything is a $50,000, $100,000 check? No, but the check sizes grow in the retail space as we grow with experience, as our track record grows, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So it's and believe it or not, I've seen quite a number of $50,000, $100,000 check writers as they've invested with me, trusted me, seen the performance turn into, okay, I tested you, see what you're doing. Now I'm comfortable writing a $250,000, $500,000, $1 million check. So just goes back to the trust process that we talked about.
Sure, sure.
There's no one right answer. There are probably people you can speak to that love the single check writer space and the institutional type checks, and they've done well. So I really appreciate you asking. But yeah, that's been my experience thus far.
That's interesting. I love that. So I honestly have asked quite a few folks. I've had 2 or 3 people tell me kind of the same reasoning that you
Mm.
have. So it's good to get that answer in quantity, I guess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As I get to know more investors and get their feedback. I have a friend who works for a private equity firm.
Okay.
So I had a really good conversation. It's all right. I'm capital raising now for our deal. Can you tell me a little bit about what it would take for me to bring a deal to you guys? Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? And he walked through it, and I thought this was interesting. And I don't know if you're aware or if you've talked to anybody. He said, that happens a lot of times in family offices where they can back out at the last second, but you can hire a PE firm and it's in a contract. They're not allowed to back out
Mhm.
at the last minute. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm still playing with the idea of maybe, but it does make me pause because they do want a lot of control. That's for sure. Anyway, just good conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you another lesson I learned about contracts is sometimes big boys and girls in this industry or in any industry sign their names to contracts. And then if they don't follow through and you threaten to sue them, they will say, by all means, we have bigger pockets to sue you,
Yeah,
better
true,
lawyers, and we'll bleed you dry. So
true. That's
by
true.
all means, we did sign that contract. We acknowledge that. Try us, basically that FAFO type of thing,
Right,
pardon my
right,
French,
right.
and we'll see who's able to survive and
Yeah,
endure.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
hate to think that way. That's not how I think, but I've seen it happen a few times, and yeah,
yeah.
that's
No,
the
I hear
reality.
you. I hear you.
Yeah, yeah. But thanks
Gosh,
for the great question.
it's so, I know this is terrible, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it. It's sad that somebody would do that that breaks my heart.
It's real. It is real. I've seen it with lenders. I've seen it with sellers. I've firsthand experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just do the right thing. Come on, just do the right
It's
thing.
really not that hard, but Janice, I guess you and I aren't all that common in terms of mindset, but that's why we're here to change the industry and do
That's
things the
right.
right way,
That's
right, my
right.
friend? Yes.
That's right. We're gonna
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yes. You are such a delight, Janice. Thank you again so much for joining, for asking really smart questions and, helping people understand what this journey has been like for you. I know a lot of folks are going to see themselves in you and learn from our conversation. And that's what it's all about, right?
That's right. And I really appreciate you having me on. I'm humbled. I really am.
You're awesome. Where can people get in touch with you? I have a feeling some people are going to want to talk to you, get in touch. Where's the best way to reach out to you?
So they can either go to my website, which is greenrootcapital.com, or they can catch me on LinkedIn all the time. It's LinkedIn/Janice Greenly.
Perfect. We'll put both of those in the show notes so it's easy for folks to get a hold of you. Thanks again, my friend.
Thanks, Amy. You take
Take care,
care.
everyone. Bye for now. Hey, real estate investors, fund managers, capital raisers, syndicators. If you are struggling with predicting how much capital you can raise for a deal, because investors say they're going to wire, but they actually back out, you struggle with finding investors beyond your network of friends and family, if you find yourself falling short on your capital raises for your real estate investments, and you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to travel to conferences all across the country, only to find that the people you're hoping to raise capital from are also trying to raise capital from you, hit the subscribe and follow button, and I promise y'all are going to love what we're going to cover here. I'm going to deliver free content every single week, week in and week out. to help you get to the next level in your real estate investing capital raises.